the chamber, straight upstairs and on the left. Please do not use the elevator in times of emergency. Right, consent agenda. Minutes. Discuss and approve the June 15th, 2023 meeting minutes. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions that this board would like to make prior to them being approved into the record? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve these minutes to the record.
Make a motion to approve the June.
Motion made by John,
Second.
second by Al. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Catherine Lynn? Okay. The minutes are entered into the record. Regular agenda. Old business. None. New business. DRG Acres. This is a pre-application concept review. It's a minor subdivision, a pre-application concept review. AP 42, lot 64, 332 Douglas Pike, 8.24 acres, 4 lots, R80 zone. And is the applicant ready to make the presentation?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney John Chikatchi for the applicant. I'm not sure if staff wanted to comment first. If not, I could give you a little introduction about it.
Michael, do you have anything to say at this time?
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Please
Yeah, why don't
proceed.
you come up? It's somewhat informal. So once again, Attorney John Chikatchi for the applicant. To my left is Sam Hemingway, the professional from Garofalo who's on the project. So we're at pre-app just to get some feel from the board's opinion on what we're thinking. Mr. Greco, who owns the LLC, owns the parcel. That's the subject of our petition. He bought it thinking he could redo the home. It was beyond rehab, so that idea went south. So we're contemplating what to do with the land, and he has in the back of his mind potentially to do a private compound / private road, potentially building a home for himself and having his 3 daughters in the future, if everything works out, stay there. And Sam has done some different configurations, some initial water table testing, some soil analysis, some wetlands identification, some potential road layout. So it's physically possible from a engineering point of view, and he can touch on that. But more importantly, we have to see if the board would potentially support us because we would need a zone change and go through the process and come back here to see if we could potentially build at these size lots. So Sam, if you could, why don't you tell us a little bit of your involvement with the project and the layout that you were contemplating? Always hold it up, or? That's not.
I do have some.
Oh.
I do have some boards, if that's helpful. Take a look to be able to get a technology up and running. Give it a moment.
Was handouts beyond what we've received?
No, effectively what you have is.
Oh, okay.
We can do it the old-fashioned way, right?
Okay, so yes, we've received existing conditions and proposed layout.
Okay, so I guess because rehab, I'll probably jump in and just talk over the proposed first. So it is a AP 42 lot 64, which is just over an 8-acre parcel on the west side of Douglas, just south of Whipple. So the current zone is an R80 zone in that area, but there are record lots surrounding the property. And basically, it's in the transition area from an R20 to an R80 zone. Generally speaking, south, there's some R40 or R medium in the area as well, but the lots are not really consistent with the underlying zone area. There are also some fairly significant regulated wetlands on site, which were flagged and located for this initial stage. So what that all boils down to is we feel like this property given that the size of the lot surrounding it is a good candidate for getting away from the 2-acre zone. That 1-acre zone is, frankly, a little more manageable, so given the site constraints. So we're here really with a layout that reflects a change to an R medium zone, so going down to 1-acre zones, again, consistent to the 2 lots that are immediately in front of the property, to the houses next to the property, and to the surrounding subdivisions to the southwest, northwest, around the back of the property. So what is proposed is a private road to serve those 3 lots. So accessing off of Douglas Pike, saying that's State Road, obviously you need to go to the state for that. But then a private road with a 22-foot pavement width, which is initially we're thinking. We would like to get some input on that. And a turnaround of some type. I know there have been some other compound type developments in the immediate area and in town in general that had different configurations for the turnaround. Obviously, with very limited traffic on here with only the 4 homes on the lot. So again, we're kind of looking for input. We did do some soil testing on the site, witnessed by DEM. We got reasonably good groundwater depths and separation of ledge. There is some ledge on the site, but we certainly feel that the 4 lots is achievable, and as well as providing a stormwater management zone as indicated on the plan. More to be said, but again, we're looking for input just to kind of see if there's support for the 1-acre zoning on this parcel, see if the private road configuration is something that the board would be amenable to, and then maybe talk a little bit about the path moving forward, as it is pretty significant.
Michael, would you like to go first? And then I was going to ask if the board has any questions or comments.
Yeah, back in 2020 and 2021, we did a fairly major zone change to bring the zoning into conformance with the comp plan and the land use map. The area, as Mr. Hemingway mentioned, was that we changed the lot zoning to the south of this from an R80 to an R40. And as he said, the adjoining parcels to the west of it are zoned R20. They are serviced by sewers. And we did have this.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I've had a relative in the hospital past couple of days, and it's made a habit of leaving this thing on. She's out of danger now. Sorry, Michael, please proceed.
I'm just passing around a map. It shows the parcel in question has a little circle on it right here in the middle of it. You'll see that's the yellow is zoned R80, and to the south of that in orange is the R40 zone that we recently rezoned. All that area along Douglas Pike was rezoned to R40. And some of the lots along Ridge Road were also changed, and we changed a bunch of split lots in that area. So I believe the reason we didn't extend the R40, we were basically trying to stay to lots that were around the 1 acre size. We were going to rezone them, that they're already developed. So we didn't extend the R40 zone up there, but given that this is the last lot sandwiched between an R20 and an R40, it would seem appropriate that we could extend the R medium zone up to that area, to close that out, and it would just leave the one big lot in the middle there that's zoned R80, which is basically an open space lot, I believe, associated with the Deer Hill subdivision. So. I don't think the rezoning would be, out of the question, something that would, be consistent with what we've done in the past. So, basically that's all I have on that.
Michael, I apologize. Could you just repeat our initial rationale for not changing over this parcel to R?
Generally, when we were doing the rezoning, we were looking to just basically conform the zone to what the underlying land use was. So if we had lots that were already developed in the R40, more or less around an acre, we rezone them. So, but given that this is sandwiched between an R20 and actually a corner of the property is in the R20 zone, I think
Was it because of the proximity of the wetlands that we were leaving them on to
No,
acre?
I think it was just basically the size of the lot. Like I said, we took a look at the lots there and looked at the frontage and looked at the development pattern along Douglas Pike, and we just took the lots that were contiguous and, around that size and had the same development pattern, the same kind of frontage, and, thought that it would be good to rezone them so that it was consistent with the underlying land use.
Does anybody have any questions for Michael?
I do for the applicant, or
Okay.
I'm just, how big is how long is the frontage that was on the road? Because it's kind of, drawing wise, it looks different than we have on the map. I'm just curious, is it just the width of the road, or is it?
The existing frontage now?
Yes, for your lot.
I believe it's only 50,
There are
right?
two sections of frontage, so there's a 30-foot frontage where the private road is coming in,
Okay,
and then the remaining frontage is 295, just under 300.
all right, is that what was that at? Yeah, I see the private road, that's the 30. I'm just trying to understand the. Yeah. Oh, that section right there, okay, that's what I was, okay, I got you now. Oh, I see now, it's between those two lots. I'm trying to compare with this. I see where that road's landed now.
It actually has a lot of frontage, but there's wetlands there, so it would be odd configuration to use frontage. We're not accessing the property, so that was one of our thoughts.
Okay, so that's why you took that
Yeah.
between the lots versus the bigger one, okay, thank you.
Other than the R40 zoning issue, are there any other anticipated issues with respect to the proposed lots?
I don't believe so, right, Sam? I know it's preliminary, but we felt that we can meet everything if we got the zone change, correct, for density and square footage, lot coverage.
Frankly, in reading the subdivision ordinance, some of the language, I wasn't 100% clear on the lots and how it configures as it relates to a private road, but it seemed to be consistent with what I've seen in the town. So the road would be in an easement, but still get frontage on a private road. So if that is, in fact, the interpretation that the town has taken, then we believe those lots.
The engineer who prepared the documents, did they indicate any other concerns other than moving zoning?
I think you mean from an engineering point of view, can you control the runoff and the separation?
No, again, we did do soil evaluations. So we have good confidence that we can get septic systems in there. The drainage, obviously, drainage is always an issue. Wetlands are always an issue. But we have reviewed it under the new wetland rules in terms of the buffers and buffer zones and regulatory areas. Reasonably confident, given the fact that it's a pre-application.
Catherine?
I have a question on lot 1. It appears that the house is going to be put right over a stone wall. And we're trying to save our heritage landscapes. Is there another place we can put that?
Slide over, huh?
Yeah, so
We could slide it here, right?
we may be able to. So that survey reflects the existing house, which has since been raised. I'll have to look at the current conditions and see what is the most suitable, but that will, in terms of heritage, that was really part of the immediate home. So the construction of the house, which is no longer, certainly is not going to be saved. So we can take a look. I'm aware of the desire in the town to do that, and I'll take a look. I can bring some pictures at the next meeting, and
We have an ordinance to
Yeah,
protect our
certainly.
heritage landscape.
Looks like we could slide it down towards the Douglas pretty easily.
So you'll be pulling public water from Route 7? Is that how it's
yes,
going to?
that would
Okay.
be the intent. We did have a conversation initially when we were doing the test holes. They actually came out, we were big safing it, and talked a little bit about it. They indicated no concerns with it.
And all the test holes on the existing and proposed layout, all the test holes are something that you've conducted per DEM?
Yeah, so they were done by
Requirements, okay.
Class 4 soil evaluator from our office, but also witnessed by the state.
Yes.
In lot one, there seems to be, or it indicates an easement fund in page 65, book 65, page 1138. What is, anybody?
It's a defeasible easement for a septic system that was installed on the abutting lot back when there was common ownership or a different relationship.
It has no effect on what you plan to do.
Correct. So we will maintain that. We're not anticipating doing any work in that easement area. But again, it's a private one-party agreement. It's not a utility.
So that easement would be extinguished? Is that how it would work?
Potentially. That I am not sure I know the answer to that yet. It kind of depends on where the system is and where we do the final setting of the house.
Okay. So the width of the road is, you're proposing is 22, and then you got a 46-foot radius from the,
Yeah, the 22 is a little wider than I've seen. Again, there was a very similar situation not far from this project where a narrower road was approved, I presume, by this board. I think, given the number of vehicles, it would certainly provide safe egress, the width of 18 feet, but, you know, again, I think we're sort of, it's a little uncharted, this private road scenario, and whether or not there's a difference between a private road that's 20 lots versus one that's 3 homes, potentially 3 related homes. So we'd like to explore that as it gets to master plan.
You gotta keep in mind, excuse me, you gotta keep in mind where you're gonna put the snow.
Correct.
would that go in SWM?
The stormwater has been test fit based on what we know.
Okay. Any other comments or questions, recommendations? So I guess Michael discussed the fact that our comp plan and future land use, future zoning does still show this as an R80. However, he sees no deleterious effects from the council changing it. I don't know about the board, but I can't see any objections at this point.
Neither do I don't either.
Yeah.
Neither do I.
Okay. No.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll give it
Good
a
luck,
outlook
gentlemen.
and
Best-
Continue on, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay. Moving right along. Next up, Ray Waterman Avenue. I believe so. The board has been handed a resolution granting a dimensional variance at this plat, and from our zoning board of review, and they've given a positive recommendation. Don't know if you had a chance to read it, but This is for final approval by this board. The board had requested the final come back to us. Attorney Kane.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name's Tim Kane. For the record, I represent Theodore and Sandra Race. So we did come before you a few months ago. We got conditional approval for a 2-lot subdivision. We went before the zoning board. The zoning board approved it unanimously. We had the direct abutter come in and speak in favor of it, and another abutter came in and spoke in favor of it, and nobody spoke against it. And so now we're back before you for a final. Pretty straightforward. There's water and sewer. I think both lots are approximately 10,000 square feet.
Does the board have any questions or comments for Attorney Kane?
No, I'm very familiar with it the last time.
Yeah. So I'll entertain a motion to make an action on this.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
Please help yourself.
Okay. Matter before the board is the Ray Waterman Avenue ID 2305 final plan review minus subdivision AP 26 lot 27 292 Waterman Avenue. I'd like to mark as Exhibit A the memorandum of the town planner, Michael Phillips, dated July 13th, 2023, as well as the zoning board of review's decision. Based upon the information that was been provided before this board, including the findings from the zoning board, I'd like to make a motion again to final approval of the plan in that for the reasons stated at the prior hearings as well as today's hearing.
Motion has been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. We'll take a roll call.
Yes.
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 I abstain. Motion carries. You have final approval, Mr. Kane, Attorney Kane.
You have fun.
You have final approval. One abstention. Right. Item number 3, Earl Grey Estates T-Lots, request for extension of master plan approval. AP 40 and a lot of lots.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, we've done this before, but I just want to remind the board, this applicant is here for an extension, and under the statute, he's specifically entitled to that extension. The only requirement is he has to show up here and report to you. So that's what we're here for. He's here for the annual report. Otherwise, he's entitled to the extension, and at the end, he'll be asking for a motion that you grant him that. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Kane?
Thank you. So I'm going to go off some notes that my client sent me. And the battle here is still trying to hook into municipal sewer. My clients have ongoing discussions with the Hebert Hills Nursing Home, who is right next door, and they're not hooked into sewer, although I think they have quite the extensive septic system, but my understanding is they may want to add on, so maybe it would be beneficial for both of us. I'm not involved in the nitty-gritty discussions with the engineers. We've approached Narragansett Bay Commission about hooking through Lincoln, but as I probably stated before, Lincoln is very resistant to letting any other buddy from outside their town limits hook in. Unfortunately, they do end up at Narragansett Bay. I think Douglas Lumber had that problem years ago. They just couldn't get in, so we've kind of hit a dead end there. North Providence is the most preferable, but it becomes very complicated when you have another municipality trying to hook into one sewer system. All sorts of studies have to be done, and we've talked about a firm about engaging in those studies if we're exhausting all other options, and we're now looking back at Smithfield. and that may involve a line down Ridge Road, you know, so that's the battle. It's taken a long time. And I appreciate your indulgence. It seems like we were here a year ago, but I know this is going on 3 years. This is our last by right extension. We do have a viable commercial entity that's looking at the front portion, and we hope to be back to you soon on that, on the front portion, the commercial part of the property, the non-residential. That'd be great if we can at least get that portion off the ground. So that's where we're at. It's been a long haul, but we're still positive, and we obviously would like to hook into sewer. It makes the project much more viable, and that's what we've been spending, or my clients have been spending a lot of time on. So that's where we're at.
Any questions for Attorney Kane? Okay, so this is the second extension, and he's entitled to it.
Yep.
Okay, motion to extend this one more time. Second? Second by Al. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None?
Thank you.
Okay. Right, so that brings us to the end of the agenda, and is there any other non-agenda item questions? Yeah, Kathleen, veteran of 13 years, is back with us. She's taking over a vacancy recently created, and she'll be with us for almost 3 years. So she's been an incredible asset to this board and the Historic Preservation Board, and it's great to have her back. Welcome back, Catherine. Welcome. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening, folks.